A fight is brewery in Scotland's southern uplands among two competing villages that both have complained to be the highest in the nation. Maybe amazingly, the highest countryside in Scotland is not in the Highlands but has formerly been one Lochhead in southern Scotland, and it has got a mark to show it. But if you conduct on the way how winds via the countryside and above the eyebrow of the mound, you will achieve else countryside, Lead Hills. Its residents are confident it is high rather than one Lochhead. Mr. Cameron Mag has a backup of the Artillery Gazetteer of Scotland of 1893, how state Lead Hills is the highest countryside in Scotland. And for human beings in the countryside how would be a large marketing spot, says Lee Gilmore, the female over the Teddy Carey store in Lead Hills. In the summer we include a lot of tourists undergo via, she says. We don't wish them to undergo via, we wish them to halt. Ms. Gilmore says, we are confident we are the highest. It's a type of brother competition. One Lochhead is the sibling countryside of Lead Hills, and they do all along. This just controversy we always include is on who is the highest countryside. Mr. Cussell took his kit to Lead Hills at first. It reads GPS satellites in orbital about the land to action the height at any spot on the land. He says the evident location to begin is by conclusion the center of the countryside. How is not too difficult. Inhabitant Mr. Cameron Mag conducted us to the flame plant, the inn, and the countryside store. The is center Lead Hills. The is wherever it all happens, he says. It registers at 1295 FOOT, over indicate C standard. But looking about the countryside down there are several houses on the mound how are lot high rather than the center spot, and later the way slopes downward to houses lot reduce downward. Mr. Cussell says else way of measurement could be to get the highest and minimum spot of the countryside and get an ordinary. The highest building is over indicate C standard, 1410 FOOT. Downward the mound, next a flow that will after be the inland Clyde, the minimum building in Lead Hills is 1212 FOOT. Following to one Lochhead. It is just brief range off, but while we get down there it very does sense really various. The houses sit unreliably on cliff hillsides, each party of a profound vale, cut by the one loch water supply, how intermittent via the countryside. The center of the countryside is 1331 FOOT, over indicate C standard, nearly 11 meters high rather than Lead Hills. But Mr. Cameron Meg insists on measurement the ordinary altitude, so we journey up the mound to the highest building in one Lochhead, or, it is declared, in all of Scotland. We later get the minimum building in one Lochhead, and the ordinary is 393 meter, reduce rather than Lead Hills. But down there is a issue. On a map it is the minimum building, but it feels a length way of the countryside. It is on a 10-min go downward the vale of the major portion of the countryside, says Mr. Cameron Mag. Steve Cussell decides to guideline out the dimension and sets out to discover else building nearer to the major group in the countryside. With the more than center building, the ordinary of one Lochhead jumps up to 414 meter, 1358 FOOT, high rather than the ordinary for Lead Hills. But that is the top action to utilize. The artillery examination say the largest safe action is the height at the threshold of the highest building. In Lead Hills the would be 430 meter, 1411 FOOT, but the highest building in one Lochhead is 444 meter, 1457 FOOT. It seems how any action you utilize, one Lochhead is the highest countryside in Scotland. Although he has lost the reason, Mr. Cameron Mag conducted it amazingly so. He says, how seems to be a sensible way to do it, large for one Lochhead and length may it rule.